Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the question on the board, which is the square root of x equals x minus 2. What is the greatest value of x that satisfies the above equation? So from the equation, we can see that the value of x on the left hand side and the value of x on the right hand side have different powers or different exponents. The one on the left hand side, the square root of x is the same thing as x raised to the power of 1/2, while the power of x on the right hand side is just the power of 1. So when you have a question like this where you have different exponents, at least this particular question, the way you solve this is just for you to square both sides of the equation. So you have x, right, equals x minus 2. We're going to go on to square this side and square this side. And what we end up with is the square of a square root is just going to give you whatever value is inside the square root. So we're not going to, when we do the square of the square root, we're just going to cancel out both the squared and the square root. So basically the squared and the square root cancel out, and we're just going to focus on what is inside the square root in the first place. So that will be x equals, and then you have x minus 2 all squared, the same thing as x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 2. We go on to do the expansion method, or some people call it the FOIL method. So that will be x equals x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 2. I'm going to use the FOIL method, so which is for you to first of all multiply the first terms of in both of the parentheses. So here you then have x squared, and then the outer term. So in this particular parenthesis, you have x on the outer term, and here in this one you have -2, so that will be -2x. So we multiply those two terms, and then the inners. So what is innermost in this one and innermost here is this. The first parenthesis is -2. The second parenthesis is just simply x. So -2 times x is just -2x. And then the last term in each one of the parentheses, that will be -2 multiplied by -2, that is +4. So we're going to have x equals x squared, -2x, and -2x is going to give you -4x plus 4. So this is basically like our work so far. But our simplification is not done, because we can see that we have an x on the left hand side and you have a -4x. You can see that the x and the x here, they have the same power, hence we can solve further. So what you end up with is going to be x squared, right, minus 4x. We're going to subtract x from the left hand side of the equation and the right hand side of the equation. So on the right hand side of the equation, we have x squared minus 4x minus x plus 4 equals x minus x, which is 0. So that would be x squared minus 5x, okay, plus 4 equals 0. And then you have x squared minus 5x plus x equals 0. Now you have a quadratic equation. So you can see that just because we simplified for that does not mean our work is going to look simpler, which just means that being able to solve it becomes easier. Because our first question here, the square root of x equals x minus, is not as easy to solve in comparison to a quadratic equation, where we can literally just solve by using any of the 4 quadratic methods. But with the one up top, it's harder to solve. So it's actually simpler mathematically, even though it might look harder visually. So anyways, we have x squared minus 5x, right, plus 4 equals 0. Now we can use different methods to solve this, but I'm going to choose the factorization method because this is a fairly easy question. And then you have x squared minus 5x plus 4. So what we're going to look for in doing the factorization method is that we want two values that when you multiply them together, you're going to get the value of positive 4. Okay, you multiply 2 terms. So you times 2 terms, right? That's how you do the factorization method. And when you add those same 2 terms together, you're going to get the value of negative 5. So that is what we're looking for. So you have to think about it. What 2 terms that when I multiply them together, I'm going to get a positive 4? And what 2 terms when I add them up, I'm going to get a negative 5? Well, you can think about it for a bit, and you can actually even do like, what are 2 values that when I multiply them together, I'm going to just get positive 4? We can start there. Well, we can have 1 times plus 1 times plus 1 times plus 4, that's positive 4. Negative 1 times plus 4, that's, negative 1 times negative 4, that's positive 4. We have 2 times 2, and negative 2 times negative 2. But when you add each one of them up, just one of them is going to give you negative 5. So that is going to be negative 1 multiplied by negative 4 will give you negative 5. So we have the 2 terms already. So that would be x squared, right? Minus 4x minus x. So hence the negative 4 and negative 1 plus 4. So it's just going to basically replace the second term of 5x. This is just a review of factorization, by the way. So when you do this now, you can now go on to isolate the question, right? You can now go on to solve for the x, not isolate the question. So that would be x, and then you have x minus 4, right? And then you bring out a negative 1 here. So that would be negative 1, that would be x minus 4, and that equals to 0. So that would be x minus 4 and x minus 1 equals to 0. So that would be x minus 4 equals to 0 equals to x equals positive 4, and x minus 1 equals to 0. That will be x equals to 1, positive 1. So now we go back to the question, because we're asked to find the greatest value of x that satisfies the above equation. But guess what? We have 2 values of x. So now we have to think about what the question actually asks us to do. The question actually asks for the greatest value of x, and the greatest value of x that satisfies this equation that we're given in the first place is just x equals positive 4. And if you want to be sure that you're going to get the same thing, you can just substitute x into the first equation here, and you can just say like x equals x minus 2. You can substitute 4, so you're going to have square root of 4 equals 4 minus 2. Here you're going to get 2 equals 2. So our answer is actually correct, and we're going to pick the greatest value, which is just basically x equals to 4. So thank you so much for watching another video again. I just wanted to mention to you guys that I post SAT videos daily. Make sure you watch the videos on this channel, and make sure you also look at the playlist, because the playlist will actually show you questions you've either done or not done. So aside from SAT videos, I basically do any STEM related course for middle school, high school, and college students. And so if you're taking calculus or any chemistry, basically any STEM related content, you should check the video, all the videos on my channel. And the best way to do that is to check the playlist, because I produce my videos playlist style so that it's easy for you to navigate and look for what you need. So I wish you guys all the very best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.